Welcome back to Gotcha Interact. Today we're going to be talking about a new character that's coming up soon in the next version. We've already looked at Fei Xiao in the past, but alongside of her, another 5-star character that's coming out is Lingsha. Now looking at Lingsha, we've already seen, if you have done the story, here's a little bit of a spoiler warning, but in her, for the story, we've seen that she is the new Cauldron Master of the Zhenchou Luofu's Alchemy Commission. So following a little bit beyond this though, we know that she's of the Path of Abundance, and she's also going to be in the fire element as well. Now Ryft, what can you go ahead and tell us about her starting out with her skills?
Looking right at her basic attack, she's just going to deal some fire damage equal to 100% of her attack to a single target enemy, and that is assuming that your basic attack is at level 6. Now looking at her skill, this is called Smoke and Splendor, and assuming this is at level 10, it's going to deal fire damage equal to 80% of Lingsha's attack to all enemies, and you're going to restore HP equal to 14% of Lingsha's attack plus 420 for all allies. On top of that, you're going to advance Fu Yuan's action forward by 20%, and we'll talk about Fu Yuan in just a minute.
Looking at her ultimate, it states that it inflicts befog on all enemies when using it, and when in the befog state, break damage taken by affected enemies increases by 25%, lasting for 2 turns. It also deals fire damage equal to 150% of Lingsha's attack to all enemies, and at the same time restores HP equal to 12% of Lingsha's attack plus 360 for all allies. This will also action advance Fu Yuan by 100%.
Now looking at her talent, this is called Mist Dance Manifest. This is where Fu Yuan comes into play. Through Lingsha's talent, Fu Yuan will be summoned when using Lingsha's skill. Fu Yuan has an initial speed of 90 and an initial action count of 3. Now during Fu Yuan's action, you're going to launch a follow-up attack on all enemies, dealing fire damage equal to 90% of Lingsha's attack, assuming this is level 10, and you're also going to dispel 1 debuff from all allies. It's not over yet, guys. You're also going to restore HP equal to 12% of Lingsha's attack plus 360 to all allies. Fu Yuan can accumulate a maximum of 5 action counts. When the action count reaches 0 or when Lingsha is downed, Fu Yuan disappears. Also note that while Fu Yuan is present on the battlefield, using Lingsha's skill increases Fu Yuan's action count by 3.
Looking at some of the bonus abilities that we can see in Lingsha, the first one is Ember's Echo, and it states that when any ally takes damage or consumes HP, if their current HP percentage is less than or equal to 60%, Fu Yuan will immediately trigger the follow-up attack that you get from the talent, and this attack will not consume Fu Yuan's action, and this effect also can only be triggered again after 2 turns.
Now looking at her second bonus ability, this is called Sylvan Smoke. This just states that when you use the basic attack, you're going to additionally regenerate 10 energy, which is going to be amazing for Lingsha, especially as a support and a healer for your team. Her last bonus ability is called Vermilion Waft, and this bonus ability will increase Lingsha's attack and outgoing healing by an amount equal to 25% for the attack and 10% of the outgoing healing of the break effect of the character, up to a maximum attack or outgoing healing increase of 50% attack and 20% outgoing healing. In other words, the more break effect you have on Lingsha, the more attack or outgoing healing you will have for her.
Looking overall at everything that we can see from her, obviously what we've seen probably in the past already from a lot of people talking about, as well as what we believe as well, it seems that she's going to be extremely well from what her kit says as well. The idea though of being a break effect idea, a break damage character, someone who's going to be the support or sustain for the team. Now, as you see, first and foremost, usually with these types of things, someone like Gallagher, for instance, has already kind of put himself as a staple in the break effect teams that you have. Even if it's Boot Hill or Firefly, no matter what, he's kind of the one there that is going to be your healer or sustain for that team. And that's what we've been seeing, and it makes sense, especially with what he can do. And he works extremely well, especially with Firefly, concerning she can put the fire weakness on enemies, and he can help go ahead and take off those shields. Now the thing though that we can see from, obviously from Lingsha, not only does she get more attack and more outgoing healing bonus based on her break effect, so going after a little bit of break effect is going to be helpful as well, but she's also based off attack, which is going to help her healing, but also the attack is going to help for damage. So she's already got some damage instances that she can do. She already heals a very good amount as well, never mind through her skill and her ultimate, but even her talent heals as well. So a lot of the follow-up attacks that she can do, the skill usages and the ultimate usages are going to help all around for her to do good damage and be good at healing. Not only that, but she's even got a bit of harmony thrown in her character kit, where in her ultimate she can increase break damage and increase that by 25% as well at level 10. So everything we're seeing here, never even mind looking at the bonus abilities that help more with healing and more personal attack. The character in and of herself is kind of hitting all three things that you want out of a supportive character that's not the main DPS of the team. For instance, with Firefly or Boothill for the team that you're probably running this with, considering those characters are obviously going to be taking most of the time and the damage idea right, even if you have someone like Gallagher who can put up some pretty good damage, especially in those teams if you've got them built extremely well, even with someone like that, it seems like even someone like her at E0 could be extremely good. So I don't know, Ryft, what are you expecting a little bit more beyond her?
Well, obviously, you've already mentioned some of the staple points, and I would totally agree. She is an amazing pull if you already do have someone like Firefly. Maybe you also already have Boothill. And who knows, what if you want to, on your first team for whatever endgame you're doing, use a Firefly team? You can still use your Gallagher and then also have Lingsha available to use with your Boothill. I think that's a valid scenario if you want to have that and you have both characters. But there is one thing I think, at least from my perspective, I haven't really heard a lot of people been talking about this, and maybe it'll come to light a little bit more once this other character comes out and is releasing as well. But we also know, and we recently did a Fei Xiao pre-release like a week ago or so, and knowing that a character like Fei Xiao actually works with break effect as well as a character like Firefly can, but also has a follow-up attack in the kit, I think it's interesting to note that Lingsha kind of has a little bit of the same thing. She's obviously increasing damage for specifically what looks like to be break effect characters, so there's no doubt in my mind that she's going to be great for that. But I also think it's going to be great for Fei Xiao just because Lingsha in her talent also does a follow-up, reminding me of a character like Topaz. The only difference is Lingsha also can help and focus into some break teams a little bit better. She is a healer, so she is going to be sustaining your team. And that's just something I kind of wanted to bring up and maybe see your thoughts, Vixen, on a synergy between Fei Xiao and Lingsha.
Well, yeah, like you said, I mean, most people are going to think about the whole break idea. And if you actually take a look, I mean, there's been a multiple different changes among the different characters that we've seen. And even recently, there was a newer change with these new characters that we've gotten. But really looking at Fei Xiao, she does have a bit in her kit with her ultimate. We've actually talked about this in the pre-release that we did. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about Fei Xiao, you guys can go ahead and check out that video. But looking though at her kit with her ultimate, it states that if the target is not weakness broken, Fei Xiao's weakness break efficiency is increased by 100%, right? And so also, the idea, though, is that she's reducing the toughness regardless of weakness type. There is a little bit of almost weakness break, quote-unquote, that you can kind of get in her kit as well. So to see the instances and usages, like you already talked about, with the extra hits from other characters to get more points of Aureus is going to be helpful for Fei Xiao. That's why someone like Aventurine is going to be her best, in my personal opinion. One of her best at the least, going to be one of the best follow-up attack units, or one of the best sustain units really for her because of the consistency of his follow-up attacks that he gets. Now the only issue that I can see with Lingsha is maybe that the talent doesn't trigger as often as someone like Aventurine. And so with Aventurine, it might be easier if it hits multiple enemies, he can get multiple stacks of his follow-up attack, so it's a lot quicker. It can be a lot quicker, or it could be just as the same time period as the Huohuo that you get in Lingsha. So it's a very good point to bring up, actually, and I think that if you have this and you are getting after both of the characters here, I do think that they can work pretty well together. I think she's probably the second best behind Aventurine, and if you already miss Aventurine, then you can go after her. But I do think that, you know, you made a really good point I didn't even think about, because this could be a really good help. I mean, just the extra healing, the extra attacks, having another summon basically to do extra hits as well is going to actually be very useful for Fei Xiao. I also like the idea in general of this character. She's just extremely fun to look at. It's something we really don't see a lot in Abundance characters. We were kind of looking for a while for a next goated Abundance character that was just going to kind of knock it out of the park. And the main thing was that we saw Huohuo and was kind of hoping that Preservation would kind of get almost evened out with Abundance, because Abundance has kind of been lacking in recency. But this character actually came in a different way and actually kind of brought abundance back in, but in a little bit of a different way. So usually, once again, like I stated before, those break effect teams are still going to be using an abundance character like Gallagher, but now someone who's actually going to be a harmony character basically, as well as an abundance character, like fused in one, is just such a goated character to have. Never mind looking at Eidolons, which we'll probably get to in another video. I mean, in general, she's just an extremely good character that I'm excited to see what people can work with.
Yeah, like you're saying, Lingsha's basically a harmony character mislabeled as an abundance character. The more I think about it, I'm like, man, she's buffing in so many different ways, and that she actually seems like she can do okay damage just because her healing that she is doing as an abundance character scales on her attack. So I imagine that her personal damage isn't going to be, too far from impressive. But, and just to add to the kind of the break damage and combined with the follow-up stuff, I mean, with Fei Xiao and Lingsha both doing follow-up attacks, that's why I think putting them together would be pretty fun and interesting to see, because then you still have 2 flex slots to do whatever you want. You can throw Ron May in there. And the reason I initially brought it up, aside from it just kind of bobbing in my brain and being like, wow, I wonder if this is a good idea. But the other thing is, lately in Star Rail, especially in the end game, I've been seeing a lot of things trying to push for doing break damage, break this, break that, but also incorporating follow-up attacks. And maybe that's why these new characters, Lingsha and Fei Xiao, have both of these aspects in their kits. And so maybe this is the quote new meta for at least the immediate next patch, and maybe with 2.5 and who knows 2.6, and then in 3.0 we'll get something completely new. But I do like how they're kind of joining those two things, and we originally saw that in Fei Xiao, so it's just pretty interesting. So I'm kind of curious what you guys would think. If you think that's a cool duo to put together, Fei Xiao and Lingsha, then go ahead and let us know in the comments. I want to see your guys' thoughts on this too, or maybe just other thoughts, stuff we haven't talked about.
Well, that's everything we've got talking about Lingsha. If you guys really did enjoy the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. If you guys have any other ideas of what Lingsha could do, please go ahead and let us know down in the comments. Once again, go ahead and check out our Discord as well. And thank you guys for watching the video. We'll see you guys in the next one.